What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil Porto. First, I want to say thank you so much for purchasing the preset. I know that there's so many options out there when it comes to presets, and the fact that you would even head to my page and purchase the Motivator preset is seriously a huge blessing to me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that more than you guys know. So the reason that I created the preset, I've worked on it for a long time for myself. And I went back and forth with the idea of, do I sell this or do I not? I got a lot of inquiries for it through the years, but I wasn't really sure if I wanted to. But recently I've seen a huge trend of people that have outsourced solely for the fact that they hate the editing process. They don't really find joy in it. And some that were conflicted because they want to edit, but they're not really getting the exact look and vibe that they were hoping for. And so I was hoping with this preset pack, which is why I called it the Motivator Preset Pack, that it would motivate photographers to get back in there and create the content that they once really enjoyed creating and loved being able to edit. Is this preset for everybody? No. Is it a perfect preset? No, there is no perfect preset. However, I feel like I have worked really hard at this, which is why I'm creating this video, because I don't want it to just be something that you purchase and then click and you're like, oh, what do I do? I want you to be able to watch this video and kind of see my mentality when I shoot, how I shoot, why I shoot certain ways, and how that preset works in conjunction with how I shoot and how to really get the best out of this preset. So is there anything wrong with outsourcing? No, not at all. Matter of fact, like, I think for a lot of people it is healthy because, you know, it helps with that work balance life. But some of us still really find joy in being part of the process from start to finish. And so that's who I'm hoping to target in this preset pack. And that's who I'm hoping would enjoy this preset pack and be able to use it for a while down the road and kind of make it their own, make some tweaks that kind of make it your vibe, your style, you know, something that you really want to continue to use for your collections. So let's dive into how I shoot so that you know how to get the best out of the Motivator Preset Pack. So the first step for me is how you shoot. And that starts for me with the white balance. Me, I personally like a warmer look. So when I go with the warm it up Chris, it's pretty much on par with what I'm trying to do. And then if I need it a little bit warmer for a certain situation, or if a photographer's style is a little bit warmer, that's when you use the what's cooler than being cool, and it takes that exact preset and then cools it down a little bit. But for me personally, when I shoot, I pretty much shoot between 6,000 and, 7,200 or something like that, just because I want the warmer vibe. So it's very cool out, then I'm going to boost up my white balance. Mostly throughout the day, I'm shooting at around 6,300. For, some of you who aren't not really, well versed in using Kelvin, the cloudy preset on like Canon and Nikon and Sony and Fuji, that kind of gets you that vibe. I never shoot on auto white balance ever, because where you move the camera is going to completely change that vibe. So if I shoot this way, it's going to be a little bit more of a blue tone than if I shoot that way, if I'm shooting at the natural light, etc. So all that's going to change, how your final image looks. And that can stink because you can be in one room and have to edit 3 different variations of that collection, as opposed to if you constantly shoot on 6,300, it's a very close vibe for that part of the day. So I always make sure that wherever I'm at in that room, I kind of have the camera white balance what I kind of want it to be out of camera is going to kind of be close to what I want it to be when I edit it. So make sure that you're taking the time to not just turn on your camera and start shooting, but get the white balance close to what you want it to be when you edit, so that when you go to edit, you only have to make a few changes when it comes to like the white balance and the hue when you go into edit. So that's the first step. The second is, if you have a second shooter, please do not kill yourself in the editing process. Make sure you take your cameras and you sync them in the white balance and the tone and the hue of your camera, because that can completely make you have to edit 2 separate collections, and that is super frustrating. So even if you have different camera brands, go into your white balance, change things, go into your hue, change the reds, greens, blues, etc. Make sure that it's exactly as close as possibly can in camera, so that when you edit, it's very, very little tweaks that have to be made between the two cameras. So those are the first two steps to make sure that this preset is going to be as quick as a click and be good as possible. So when you open up either Lightroom or Capture One, this is huge for me, because even lenses can tend to have a difference in the variation of colors or hue or white balance. So I actually edit based off of lens. So if I'm shooting an 18, a 33, and a 90 for the day, and I'm shooting Fuji, so those are Fuji lenses, I will go into Lightroom and I will start with one of those lenses. I will pick only my images that are 18 millimeter, and I will edit all of the 18 millimeter photos first, so that it's exactly the way that I want it to look with the preset. And then what I'll do is I'll copy that, and then I'll go into the images that were shot with the 90 millimeter, and I'll paste it onto one photo. From there, I can see what needs to be changed to that preset to make it exactly what it was for the 18. Typically with the 90, it has more of a magenta tone than my other lenses do, so I will change that a little bit, since I lean more towards a green and orange kind of hue and white balance. So I'll make that quick change there, copy it, paste it across my 90 millimeter photos. Then I'll do the same with the 33 millimeter photos, because I want to make sure that I get each lens as close as possible to the full collection, so that it all flows simultaneously. So if you're watching, you'll see how I do that from lens to lens, and you'll see a slight variation, but I change that before editing it to the whole collection. The biggest frustrating point for me as an editor used to be I would just sync it across the whole thing, and then I would get from an 18 millimeter to, well, at the time I wasn't using the 18, but whatever, a 16 millimeter to a 35 millimeter at that time, and I would see the variance in that image and then try to change it as I go, and it would be like 16 millimeter photos, then 4 35 millimeter photos, then a 16, then a 35, and I would have to go back and forth on every image, and I wanted to freaking just throw my computer against the wall. So to prevent that, because Macs or some PCs are expensive and they're quality computers, you want to make sure that you preserve your stress and the time that you have to put into that. So doing it by lens will help you so much. Matter of fact, if you have this preset and you know that most of your shooting is going to be 18, 33, 90, or whatever your 4 lenses of choice are, you can save a variation of the preset titled 90 millimeter version, 18 millimeter version, so that when you go into the collection, you can just click that and you'll be good to go for that portion of your collection. So for me personally, because I've narrowed down the way that I shoot so much, and I know how I'm going to shoot every single day the same when it comes to my in-camera settings, there's not a lot that I personally have to change from this preset right here. So if you see I click, it's pretty much mostly exactly what I want it to be. However, there are some times where I'll go in and I'll have to change the exposure because the light kind of switched really quickly and I wasn't able to get it perfect how I wanted it in camera. Or I underexposed to save the shadows, so I'll just be able to bring up, to save the highlights, so I'll bring up the shadows a little bit. Or if it was very bright out and I need to dehaze or crush the blacks a little, but that's pretty much mainly what I change. I only have to change slight variances if I wasn't able to fix the white balance because I went from inside to outside so quickly and I wasn't able to make that change on that day, whatever. You'll see very small changes in white balance or in hue or in the blacks or in shadows and dehaze. But that's pretty much it. I never really have to go down into my hue, saturation, luminance. I never really have to go into my sharpening or anything like that. I pretty much have everything done. So for each camera, you'll see that I have changed the color profile that I use for that collection matches that camera. So for Fuji, I shoot classic chrome. So when I'm looking through the camera, the end goal is to get close to that classic chrome vibe. So that's the color profile that I use. For Sony, Nikon, Canon, obviously there is no classic chrome preset. So I chose, in Adobe Lightroom, I chose the preset that I felt matched my vibe most. for those cameras. And so I want to help you guys make sure that this collection works. So I know for some of you that purchased this early on before I went into my surgery, I was not able to release this video, and I wasn't able to really spend that time helping you guys out with those questions. And now I'm working on that now that I finally recovered and I bounced back. But I want to be there for all of you guys that have questions. So if you have the preset and you're like, man, I just can't seem to get it exactly, please email me. I'll be fine with you sending me a raw and me being able to be like, okay, this is what you did wrong. Obviously, the more people that do that, the more time it's going to take to respond to everybody on top of running the business and the YouTube channel and everything like that. But I do promise that I will respond and I will work with you guys. I want to make this easy for you guys. And so once again, I thank you for purchasing the Motivator Preset Pack. If you enjoy it, please share it. Please tag me, put Motivator Preset Pack when you share an image, just to kind of help spread the word if you think that this preset pack would be great for others and that you're enjoying the experience. And once again, if you have any questions, reach out. I'm here to help you guys. Thank you so much once again, and God bless.